Hello and welcome. I've got for you today the latest from Llano. So this is the V12 Ultra laptop cooler from Llano and built with an intelligent design that can use its smarts to connect and talk to your PC, to your laptop, and to understand how much to ramp up the actual laptop cooler here. So we're going to look at all of the essentials of this laptop cooler. We'll talk about what's included in the box, and we'll also look at how it can improve your cooling performance on your laptop, particularly your heavy gaming laptops that run right up to those 100°C temperatures we've seen in the last few years here. So before we begin, just a quick disclaimer: this was sent to me by Llano for review. Regardless, all of the opinions you'll find in this video are entirely my own, and nobody has had editorial review of the content herein. That said, if you like any of the products that I like to review, please check the links in the description below. You can often find discount codes to help you save a bit of money, and if you want to support the channel a bit further, consider giving us a tip using the coffee link in the description below. It's a small gesture, but it goes a long way to help independent creators such as myself. And Llano includes a set of essential accessories in the box here, not too much. So if we start out here with the top, we have a foam pad here, which the laptop rests upon. This is removable as it was before and looks like it's perhaps reversible too. We'll have to see whether or not this holds up as the prior version in the V11, the V12, this foam started to fray away a little bit after a few months of use. So I hope that they've improved the overall quality of the foam here. We have the V12 cooler itself. We have a AC power adapter, a little manual here to help us how to understand how to use the intelligent cooler, as this one is called, the V12 Ultra. We have a USB Type-C cable here for connection to your PC or laptop. And of course, we have a replaceable dust filter here, which applies to the bottom here. So you can remove the panel and of course apply a new dust filter when this one gets, or the previous one gets, far too dirty to be reusable. And for those of you who may or may not have seen my V12 review from a couple of years ago on my channel, you can go check out that video. Let's just do a quick physical overview of this laptop cooler before we jump right into the testing here. So we have up front here, we have a jog dial, which allows you to change the RPM of the fan, and by default it's running at 300 RPM. It can scale all the way up to 2800 RPM. I just learned today a new word, that these stops for your laptop are actually called baffles. So it has two of these here, one on the right hand side and one on the left, so ensure that if you have this at the highest angle elevated using the feet, that it's not going to slide off and crash onto the floor. Of course, we have a very large centrally mounted fan in here. We have a ring here for the laptop, which will form a vacuum between the this rubber seal here and the laptop when it's seated on it, to be able to draw that air, or rather to push that air up, I believe. And of course, at the front panel here, we have 3 buttons. And we can see that there's a button here that is power. Long press for 2 seconds to power it on, and long press again for 2 seconds like so to power it off. There we go. And 1 and 2 seconds powered back on. We have also here a light mode, so you can swap out the RGB effects here. So if you press this, it'll idle, or it'll cycle through the different RGB modes that are available. Of course, you can switch the other colors here as well. So if you like a static color, or if you like a rainbow of colors here, you can option through that. This is the jog dial, the baffles as we discussed, and that's about it. And on the bottom of this here, we have a nice vent outlet with some clips here and some basically dust filter that you can use to keep this thing clean. We have these feet here. There's 2 levels of adjustment, plus if you keep it all the way flat, you get 3 levels of height. So if you flip this out and flip it out again like so, then you get like so, and then finger in to the bottom, and again like so. You can get this quite nicely elevated off the desk to give you lots of airflow from underneath. And on the rear there isn't much, but on the right hand side is where the magic is. So here we have a USB hub, and so here we have a USB hub on the right hand, and on the right hand side is where the magic is. Here we have a USB hub, so we have an uplink to your laptop, and then we have 3 downstream USB type A ports. So basically it helps you expand some of your ports capabilities. So if you use this quite often and want to use your laptop in a docked mode, then you can use those ports there for mice and extra peripherals that you want to remain connected as your docked gaming station. And in order to test this thing today and to demonstrate to you the features of the Llano V12 cooler here, we're going to need a big, heavy, hot gaming laptop here that has lots of power, can push some insane power levels to both its CPU and GPU, and I've got on hand for you today. We're going to be using this bad boy here. This is the Lenovo Pro 7 I Gen 10 with the RTX 5080, and you best believe that this thing can push some serious wattages both to that CPU and GPU. So this here is Borderlands 4 running in performance mode, which is the highest performance modes short of custom and the extreme mode using the Legion Space software. But this will allow the GPU to run to its full maximum power limit of 175 watts. And of course that CPU can really get up there as well. So as we can see here, with about 75 to 80 watts being pushed to the CPU, and about 170 watts to that GPU, we're getting a total combined power that this laptop is consuming of roughly around 250 plus watts, which is, you know, a very significant number. So that said, here we can see our temperatures are certainly reflective of that. Our CPU is hitting right up to that 100 degrees C with the occasional bounce down. But more or less it is 100 degrees C on that CPU. Our GPU is also hitting right up against its thermal throttle limit of 87 degrees Celsius, which means it's getting as hot and as power hungry as it can in this laptop's chassis and being as constrained it could be. Alright, the instructions here are quite simple to get the software installed. It's not difficult at all. You head over to llanolife.com, which is their website, and you'll see the V12 cooler featured there. So just hover over to support, click on download. Once you're on the download page, you'll see here that right up top you have V12 Ultra laptop cooler software. Just click on the download button and that'll start downloading the software there. It's quite easy and simple. You may get this odd warning about Microsoft, so just say that, you know, you accept it. Windows has become more and more annoying with every generation, but alas, it is what it is. Okay, so now let's take a look at this software here. So once we've got this installed, we have a few different things up here. So we have on and off. This is basically control for the actual cooler itself. So you can turn it on and off from the software. You can turn it on. You have here different modes. You have RPM mode low, medium, which is at 1000, and then you have a high mode, which is at 1375, and then finally a custom mode, which is 1050 or 1050 RPM here for the fan. So if let's go back to low so we can reduce some of the noise. We also get some measurements here about our CPU temp and our GPU temp as well, and we can see here how much our DRAM and VRAM is being used. So just some handy statistics here. You can also control the RGB lighting from this software. You can turn it on or off, and all the different RGB effects. You can control the brightness of the RGB light as well, and of course or affect its speed. So if you wanted to go faster, and you can speed up the effects from here. So if you close this, you'll notice that this is now detected in the actual Mythcool software. A hardware information page here gives you some detailed information about the actual CPU and GPU and specs of this device. And if you click the V12 Ultra here, it will take us to the actual control page for the V12 laptop cooler. And it's worth noting here, and it's interesting to note that based on the manual for this here, so Llano says that these different modes have actual ranges for the RPMs that will ramp through based on the temperatures. So for example, low mode here in this software will allow us to go between 300 to 1000 RPM, medium will go between 600 to 2000, and high mode will take us from 1000 RPM all the way up to the maximum 2800 RPM of this device. So that means we're going to get 40 decibels, 50 decibels, or 55 decibels of noise. We also have a custom mode here. If you double click on this, you can start to adjust the fan speed itself if you want to get better control and more fine-grained control over the fan curves to reduce the overall noise in your environment. That option is certainly available. Okay, so now with that understood, let's fire our game back up here and we'll see how this fares in terms of giving us better temperatures. Alright, so now we can see here as we're back into the game, so we've got it currently set to the low mode, and we can see here, I can read to you the actual RPM on the device that's dialed in is moving between 825, was just 925 a second ago, and we can start to see here that the temperatures are still kind of waffling a bit. We'll give it a minute or two to kind of take full effect here, but right now I hope you guys can hear the actual ramping up and down of the fans in the Llano laptop cooler, and it is being intelligently done by those modes using that USB Type-C cable and this supplied Mythcool software here that supports the Llano laptop cooler V12 Ultra. And we see here that our laptop now running in performance mode, same as before as we did the initial readings, is actually starting to do much better because of that forced airflow against the actual chassis, so it can draw in much more cool air. And we'll see here that our temperatures have now dropped from 100 Cs, or basically touching and bouncing at 100 Cs on our CPU, down to about 90 degrees or even lower. We've got roughly a 10-degree potentially drop, 5 to 10 degrees drop here on the CPU temperatures, and we can look at our GPU temps here are doing fantastic. So we've gone now from basically 87 degrees right up against that thermal junction temperature down to a much more reasonable and much more manageable 74 degrees here, which will keep this laptop and this GPU running for way longer. So if you want to preserve your laptop for much longer, but you really enjoy gaming on your laptop, you want to make sure that this thing doesn't cook itself to death over the next couple of years as you use it, I would highly recommend that you look at a laptop cooler, and getting something intelligent like this that basically takes all of the legwork away from you is going to be fantastic. So consider that we're only running in the low mode right now. If we were to alt tab over, so let's see here. If we were to alt tab over and go to the medium mode, which would of course, increase the amount of noise that we're getting from the laptop cooler. So we're now up at 1550 RPM, but it should start to bring those temperatures down further. However, it's going to have some point of diminishing returns, and all of that will depend on your ambient temperature, your laptop's normal temperatures during gaming, how hot your laptop gets, its ability to draw in air, how large its fans are. When you combine all of these aspects together with the different modes, with the Llano V12 Ultra software, you'll be able to get a significant, regardless of whatever your laptop is, a significant reduction in temperatures. Of course, you have to balance temperatures and noise, so you'll have to really play with that and try to get the optimal setup for your laptop and for your configuration. So then, to conclude, as you listen to the noise from this laptop cooler and the actual laptop's fans itself, I want to conclude here that the laptop V12 Ultra cooler from Llano certainly takes us a next step forward into AI and intelligent based cooling here. I'd love to see them improve on this formula. Of course, that software can be a little bit easier to work with, or just be completely independent and completely transparent to the user, despite whatever mode the user has set in Legion Space or other software for their laptop, making it just that much more essential and just an integral part of your gaming environment. So we can see here our temperatures are doing fantastic. Of course, you have to balance the noise and the thermals on your laptop, but if you're sitting here with this environment and using headphones and playing with the controller, I don't think you'll have much to complain about. Nonetheless, a special thanks to Llano for sending out this laptop cooler. I hope you really enjoyed this video and a quick overview of the Llano laptop V12 Ultra with the intelligent software based cooling. And that if you're looking to purchase this, please check the description below. I often include links with discount codes so you can save a little bit of money. And if you want to help support the channel further, you like our content, use the coffee link in the description below to give us a tip. It's a small gesture, but it goes a long way to help independent creators such as myself. And finally, thanks very much for watching. Click that like button, click that notification bell, get subscribed so you know when there's new content available here. We'll see you in the next video.